only for the two sides to remain far apart.
No!
Crazy news right now developing out of Washington, D.C., where there's been reports that the Secret Service has shot and killed a man who opened fire at a security checkpoint right outside the White House. This video, which is playing over my shoulder, and I'm going to play for you right now, is a ABC reporter Selena Wang ducking for cover as she realizes in real time that there are over 30 shots that ring out right by the White House as she's doing her report. Take a look.
That President Trump has said a deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
No!
As you can see, she ducks for cover, and she says, I was in the middle of taping on my iPhone for a social video from the White House North Lawn when we heard the shots. It sounded like dozens of gunshots. We were told to sprint to the press briefing room where we are holding now. Now, that was just a few hours ago. And look at that, diving in real time. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This is a CNN reporter who's going to tell you what she saw and heard as the events unfolded.
Yeah, I'm here with other White House reporters, photographers. We are now in the briefing room. This is where Secret Service rushed us to after we heard what appeared to be dozens of gunshots. And I want to paint the picture for you a little bit. We're here in the briefing room, and then you can kind of see out the window. Secret Service is currently working the North Lawn there to make sure everything is okay. But that's where we do live shots, is those green tents out there. And I was just speaking to you from out there just before this happened. And then reporters were rushed into the briefing room after, again, what appeared to be dozens of gunshots. Now, we have reached out to Secret Service and the White House for more information. This is all still unfolding. It is really unclear right now if anyone was injured. These gunshots, though, to be clear, appeared outside of the grounds closer to the EOB building, which is on the west side of the White House. So while we could hear them, we're not exactly sure where these took place. Again, if anyone was injured, we are waiting on more information. But just the visual of all these reporters running in here, this happening just about a month after the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where a lot of this same group was on the ground in a situation where there was a shooter there as well. A scary moment, and we are looking for more information, trying to understand exactly what happened here. What we do know is that we heard what appeared to be dozens of gunshots very close to the White House grounds.
Crazy. Now, more information has come in. Apparently, Secret Service officers shot and killed the person who the agency said approached a security checkpoint Saturday near the White House and fired at them. Now, this happened before 6 p.m. Eastern time, and an individual, they say, approached a checkpoint just outside the White House complex and began firing at officers. A Secret Service spokesperson filled everybody in. Spokesperson said this: during the shooting, a bystander was also struck by the gunfire. Originally, all the reporting said that 2 people were injured, and folks were curious as to whether these 2 people were a coordinated attack or something like that. But it does turn out that there is 1 gunman that's been identified by police, but not to the public yet. And 1 bystander was shot and wounded. No word yet on the status of that person, but I'm sure that will be developing soon. They said it remains unclear whether the bystander was struck by the suspect's initial gunfire or during the subsequent exchange of gunfire. On X, one person put together multiple points of view at the time. You can see the person I originally showed you on the right side of the screen, and above it seems to be what I would assume are Secret Service people walking by, and then at the bottom some kind of surveillance apparatus happening down here in black and white. But a truly harrowing situation, and obviously all the people are swooping in to say all kinds of stuff. You already heard the people from the press bureau talk about it from their own perspective, having been through the White House Correspondents' shooting, a similar situation where you heard a lot of gunfire from another room or somewhere near where they were, and you don't know what's happening at that point. Those people were sent to the briefing room, which makes it more difficult for them to find out what the hell happened. But everyone seems to be kind of settling on this narrative that there were 2 people struck by gunfire. One was the suspect who was shot and killed, and the other seems to just be an innocent bystander who was just going through the checkpoint or nearby. Initial reports indicate that no Secret Service members were injured during the altercation. That might develop later. And according to a lot of the reporting, there was a 40-minute lockdown that was lifted as soon as they seemed to have indicated that everybody kind of figured out that they neutralized the suspect in one way or another. Ambulances were on the scene, took him off. Seems like he was dead either at the scene or pronounced dead later at the hospital. This shows you kind of an overview of where it allegedly took place. And then FBI Director Kash Patel seems to have stepped in and said FBI is on the scene and supporting Secret Service responding to the shots fired near the White House grounds. We'll update the public as we are able. And judging from his performance recently, he's not really able to do anything. So we'll see how that goes. Now, obviously, this is the part of the story where everyone weighs in and does their wild speculation as to who that person is. It's usually biased by their pre-existing beliefs. If they are on the left, they probably are going to accuse someone on the right. If they're on the right, they're going to accuse someone on the left. Unfortunately, in these scenarios, everybody is trying to be first out to report these facts. We're trying to be right. But then again, I do want to identify exactly what's speculation and what's known, as well as what's reported. Here's something pretty interesting, aside from the fact that you can get 20% off here at DeLuise, not sponsored, but CNN is pointing out the fact that the incident unfolded, quote, after several top administration officials, including White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and Vice President JD Vance were captured by CNN cameras leaving the White House grounds. And this is amid what Trump is touting as kind of the 1 yard line of negotiations to end the war in Iran. He tweeted this earlier on True Social. And this was about an hour or 40 minutes before this all went down. Trump shared, I'm in the Oval Office of the White House, where we just had a very good call with President Mohammed bin Salman Al Sayed, the UAE, many representatives from Qatar and others. Erdogan was there apparently. And he said, concerning the Islamic Republic of Iran and all things related to a memorandum of understanding pertaining to peace, an agreement has largely been negotiated subject to finalization between the United States of America, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and various other countries as listed. Separately, I had a call with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, would use the formal name of Israel, which likewise went very well. Final aspects of details of the deal are currently being discussed and will be announced shortly. In addition to many other elements of the agreement, the Strait of Hormuz will be opened. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Trump. So all of this overshadowed, obviously, by the shots that rang out at the White House. In all, I'll remind you again, recently there was an attempt ostensibly on the president's life at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, as well as in Pennsylvania and the lead up to the Republican National Convention in 2024, and a bunch of other times I can't really remember, to be fair. And it's always weird to see like stuff like this happen on the weekend because like Tommy Lahren is at the news desk and has to field these actual news events for once in her whole goddamn life.
Tommy, this is what always happens when we have something like this. I always start to check in on the security situation at the White House, but this is what happened around 6 o'clock this evening. I'm told that a gunman came up near the White House on the west side, what is described to me as Gate 17. This is kind of near 14th Street on the west side of the White House, and came up and brandished some sort of a pistol. We don't know what type of pistol it was, but he then fired toward the White House 3 times. And the United States Secret Service, they returned fire. We don't know how many shots that they got off. And they apparently took the gunman down. Now, sometime in this gunfire exchange, a civilian on the street was struck by this gunfire, and we do not know the condition of that person right now.
Yeah, because they shot 1,000 gunshots.
Only for the two sides to remain far apart.
No!
More developing, we'll be filling you in on TYT Network, not only to fill in the gaps in reporting, but also to give some analysis of the reactions and other developments in the coming days. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.